You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth's he doing here? Hey, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it. You feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup exploring over 60 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold on tight. You never know where the crew of the TARDIS is going next.
Hey there, Whovians, and welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. That's right, we are back, and we've got a good one. We are doing, for the first time on this podcast, we're doing a review of a comic. That's right, we are looking at Once Upon a Time Lord by Dan Slott, Christopher Jones, Matthew Dow Smith, and Mike Collins. And for those on video, I'm holding up the book right now, so each one of us have the same one, so it's pretty awesome. So there is a alternate cover. I think it's the second printing with who did you say was the cover, Mikey?
Adam Hughes did it wasn't the second printing, but they did a release for direct markets for comic shops, and that was Adam Hughes did the cover for that.
Right, because
it's really gorgeous cover.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous. It's with the Doctor and Martha, and it's really, and they're both doing their little heart. Aww. Exactly. It's really cute. It's a great cover. So, and it's going to be fun to talk about this one. And, you know, we've wanted to talk about different Doctor Who comics over the years, and finally we're doing it. So this is what we get, folks, when we have a lot of time.
A lot of time.
So we actually have a couple other Doctor Who comics in mind over the next couple months. And so you'll hear us talk about different things and everything. But let's say hey to this week's crew. Of course, the usuals are here. Let's welcome Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
And Ms. Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
That's right, folks. The countdown to Pensacon is on, and we are going to be there. That's right. We actually have a panel list. We actually have, times and all that kind of stuff. So as we always like to say, we're not going to put the times and everything on the podcast. So if you're going to Pensacon in Pensacola, Florida, the crew from Earth Station Who and Earth Station One and, a couple other podcasts are going to be at the con, and we're going to be talking all about Doctor Who. We're going to be talking about Star Wars. We're going to talk about the MCU. We're also going to be talking about podcasting. So we've got quite a few different panels going on. Check our schedule, and we'll put stuff online as it goes. And, because like most cons, all schedules are in flux. So, we hopefully will, knock on wood, be there. But we have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We are going to be doing panels. So definitely check for it. You check it out, pensacon.com. And, we're going to be enjoying the beach life for a couple days, which will be wonderful. And sadly enough, Mr. Mike Gordon will not be joining us this year. We're sorry, Mikey.
I'll not be there again, but you guys will be running that ESW flag for me. I appreciate it. And it sounds like a great show. One of these days, I'm going to get down there, I promise.
Exactly. Beware tiki bars in Pensacola. Mike Gordon is coming.
So
exactly.
It's that restraining order that Mark Maddox put out on me. I just can't, it won't. He won't budge.
A lot.
He won't budge, man.
But was it the real Mark Maddox or was it the hack Mark?
See, that's what we're trying to figure out. So
we may never know.
Exactly. So it's going to be a ton of fun to talk about this book tonight, and definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. Feedback at Earth Station Who is the best way to get in touch with us. Of course, thank you to all our folks who are listening at home, or they're on any of your media players, or on YouTube. That's right, folks. We've got a great YouTube channel, so you can check us out and like and subscribe, as we always like to say. If you're watching us and enjoying us talking about Doctor Who, you know what? It's going to be a ton of fun. Being in video format now, so you get to see these smiley faces. Not just, hear our voices. And I know some people are disappointed when they see the faces. It's like, wow, that's not what I expected.
Yeah, that might work against us.
I remember when I used to work in radio all the time, we used to get that all the time. wow, that's not what I thought you looked like. Like, gee, thanks.
It's never, you look better than I thought you were going to look.
Oh, no,
like,
you never.
wow.
It's never that.
It's never that. People's imaginations, it's always, that way. That's why Big Finish works so well in everything. And let's jump into Doctor Who news real quick. Speaking of Big Finish, we did get some pretty decent Big Finish news over the last couple weeks. They are doing a 26-part series called Dark Gallifrey. I should put an echo effect in for that every time we say it.
Dark, galley.
Exactly. And it's going to feature, a lot of the bad guys from Gallifrey and such. It's going to be an interesting storyline that they're doing. I don't know tons about it, but I know Eric Roberts is supposed to be involved with it. And
they announced that it's going to involve the Masters, meaning Eric Roberts and Missy. Michelle Gomez. Also, Mobius. Which one? Yeah, right. Is I think one of the characters.
It's the brain of Mobius, and Morbius is the vampire. So.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Yeah. And I can't remember the name of there's another baddie that's involved too.
Is the monk involved?
Not that I saw.
That would make sense.
I didn't see the meddling monk, which, I think we all like the chemistry that Missy had with I can't remember the name of the actor now who played the meddling monk, but so I'm looking at it right here. It's Morbius, played by Samuel West, the War Master with Sir Derek Jacobi, Missy with Michelle Gomez, and the Master Eric Roberts. So each will take their turn with their own 3-part story with a bunch more to follow. So this is supposed to spotlight the dark lords, the dark time lords. When Time Lords go bad or whatever. So starts April 2024 and it goes until like 2028, I think, or something. It's crazy. It's like 4 years.
Wow. It's interesting because, if they do Dark Gallifreyans, that probably means the V word will be coming up.
Or the R word.
Oh, that's true. Ronnie or the Valyard. So we might get both of them.
Possibly. I don't know. They haven't really announced anything. I mean, there are so many more that they can play with. I didn't really get I don't think they said who was writing it or anything like that. So, but it's Big Finish. So, I do think that obviously, Sir Derek Jacobi and Michelle Gomez are always worth a listen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure, our good friend in Australia that covers the Master extensively on his podcast.
Kieran must be beside himself.
Yeah, yes. Like this seems like it would be almost like his brainchild.
Right. It's like two favorite things, the Master.
Exactly. So we'll have to check in with him to see how it's going. Because this is really, one of those things that I'm like, I don't know if I can get my head around, let alone my wallet around it. Because it just seems like it's a big, huge thing of commitment.
It is. We couldn't commit to the once in future. So.
No, we started halfway committed to it. In a way.
So we're so going to be running for that 26-parter.
I probably will have to get the Missy ones at least.
Oh
yeah. I mean,
so great.
I always like listening to her, but yeah, I mean. And then, you're right, Mike. The Big Finish also announced the Fugitive Doctor is getting stories starting in 2025.
The Ruth Doctor. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, yes. Try some of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. And that'll be interesting because I would love to see what kind of Bible, if you will, that they're allowed to pull from. Like what. We really don't know much about where she fits in and how she fits in and all that sort of thing. So I wonder how Big Finish is going to use her with that sort of limitation. We've already seen a comic since we're talking about comics today. She's appeared and had a comic title series. But I didn't read that, so I don't know what the parameters were of that either. So
no, it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm looking forward to it, but I hope they're not basing it completely off of anything that Chibnall created. And that is 9 minutes and 52 seconds into the show. Where
I am hoping that Big Finish can do for Doctor Who, especially the Chibnall era, what Dave Filoni has done for the clone era of Star Wars. Dave Filoni has made the clone era amazing, like with his work on the series that he's done, and I would hope that I'm hoping that Big Finish can kind of do the same thing with the, because eventually I'm hoping that Jodie does Big Finish, and we'll we'll all be like, hey, Jodie's a pretty good doctor.
Well, I'm putting
good stories.
I'm putting it up there the same way Big Finish has saved Colin Baker.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. And, the stories Colin has done for Big Finish has actually redeemed his Doctor in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And not just him, but also the Eighth Doctor. I wouldn't say they saved the Eighth Doctor, but they certainly expounded on it and made the Eighth Doctor much more of a character than we got with just the one movie.
Well, the Eighth Doctor was one and done.
That's right.
And, so it was a blank slate to go off of. So I think the Big Finish stories that he's done have been amazing. And I love that Paul is so willing to do it. All the old doctors are, and that's wonderful. So, and, obviously we've heard even going up to Chris Eccleston and David Tennant have, embraced it, which is pretty awesome. And so, eventually, hopefully we'll get Matt Smith and Capaldi and then Jodie. So,
Big Finish also announced their audio drama podcast, Into the TARDIS.
That's right. So
which will start next month, I believe.
It will be another Doctor Who podcast for us to compete against. So there's no competition. Trust me, folks. They're going to blow us out of the water. Hey, I'm realistic here, folks. I really am. So
I don't know. I mean, it stars their first adventure. I think they're just airing like past adventures that they had, right? I mean, or like, yes. And they're just doing like parts of them so that people have to buy the rest of them. I mean, they're kind of like, dealers, right?
Marketing tool.
Yeah. Well,
they're giving you a little taste.
No, I don't blame them at all.
Yeah. No, I don't blame them for marketing at all. So, but it's not a proper podcast. It's just basically, hey, we're releasing a few chapters of this stuff free.
Here's the first two.
Yeah, so that to get your fix, and then you have to pay us.
Exactly.
Pay us, the big bucks.
You'll pay dearly, folks. Trust me.
Yeah.
So don't listen to it. Listen to us. That's right.
Yeah.
This is sort of Big Finish release. It's not a really Big Finish release either, but there was also announced this week a project called Day of the Daughters that's coming out, which
I've
is
heard about it. I don't know anything about it.
It's a look at it's a documentary by Nicholas Briggs, and which he basically interviews and talks to Sadie Miller and Daisy Ashcroft.
Oh, very cool.
So it's the daughters of Elizabeth Sladen, who played Mary Jane Smith, and Carolyn John, who played Liz Shaw. Right. And it's going to be on DVD, and I think it's available now. So it's by the people at Time Travel TV. It's not a Big Finish proper release, but I think it was done in conjunction with Big Finish because Nicholas Briggs is part of it and all that kind of stuff too. And I think both daughters do portray their mother's characters on Big Finish, if I'm not mistaken. So
I think so.
I know Liz Sladen's daughter does.
Oh yeah, Sadie Miller, definitely.
Yeah.
So we've heard a couple with her.
So it's just kind of just how about their mothers and what it's like, sort of portraying their famous mothers and characters and all that kind of stuff. So it might be worth a check out,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't disagree with that, sir. So I think it's going to be kind of fun. And you know what? It's kind of cool that it's out there right now. Hope everyone who went to Gallifrey out in Los Angeles this past week had a blast. The pictures we saw looked awesome.
A lot of great costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And, makes me miss going to Doctor Who cons. And, here in the Southeast, there are no more Doctor Who cons. And, they had one down in Tampa. I know we had here in Atlanta, we had Wholanta. And then in Huntsville, we had, of course, Concaster Burris. And I think there were a few others that have just fallen by the wayside. And, it's not saying that other cons don't have, they do have Doctor Who guests and such. And so it'll be very interesting to see like Who Dragon Con, if they're going to get any Doctor Who guests this year. Or if, something like San Diego Comic-Con, if they're going to have the big Doctor Who panel this year.
That'll be interesting. That especially would be awesome. Especially since Shooty's first season will air before Comic-Con. So that'll be really interesting to see. Great. Yeah, if they do something, to promote it. But
exactly, and it could be a joint venture between BBC and Disney hosting the panel. So they would definitely fill Hall H without a doubt. So I think that would be pretty awesome. So
yeah, I would wait in line to see Shooty.
Oh God, yes.
Oh yeah.
But don't expect to see Ruby Sunday there because she'll already be gone. So
probably, I would imagine that if San Diego, if it was going to be a Doctor and Companion at San Diego, it'd probably be the new one.
Yes.
So,
but you don't know. Don't know.
I know.
Who knows? That's what I like to say. Oh, actually, I need to be pointing at my nose. Wrong video.
Yep.
Exactly. So I think that could be very interesting, though, to see. All right. Let's not even take a break. Let's just jump right into the book review, and we'll just go through. Mm-hmm. So we are talking about the feature product this week, Once Upon a Time Lord by Dan Slott. Awesome story.
Not the first comic we've ever reviewed.
No.
Sorry, because we did review Star Beast a few months ago.
Beep.
But obviously we did that because we were looking forward to the live action version of Star Beast. Mm-hmm. But this is completely done. Reading it, I really thought that it was going to be produced for the 60th anniversary, but this was supposed to come out like 2 or 3 years ago. So I don't know what the hang up was, whether it was art or what, but in any case, it was delayed until November of last year, which was right around the special. So it worked out quite well. But I know that the writer, Dan Slott, has been wanting to work with Doctor Who for a long time. He's a Doctor Who fan. He's a great comic writer.
Oh, yeah.
Which was his first Doctor Who?
This is his first Doctor Who, yeah. He's written stuff for DC. He's most notably known for writing Spider-Man for Marvel for a long time.
Yes.
Had a huge run on Spider-Man for a long time. But he wrote She-Hulk, and a lot of the stuff that he wrote for She-Hulk made its way to the TV series.
Mm-hmm. Between the stuff John Byrne did and the stuff Dan Slott did.
Exactly.
The whole series.
Exactly. And he also had an extensive run, pretty extensive run on Silver Surfer. And that run in particular was like the Silver Surfer, who's a cosmic being, had an Earth companion that looked a lot like Clara. And it was very much like Dan going, I'm writing Doctor Who in Marvel.
Want me to or not.
Yeah, exactly. The stories were very Doctor Who-like. If you like this work, if you like Doctor Who, seek out his run on Silver Surfer because it'll seem very familiar as far as, oh yeah, I know this format. But yeah, I think at the time he didn't know if he would ever be able to write Doctor Who, so that's what he did. He did the Silver Surfer run, and then he got the call, I guess, made it, So, and my understanding is this is the first of a few.
Oh, really?
Like there will be a few more of these.
I hope there are, because it was an enjoyable story.
It was very, sometimes when you read a Doctor Who story in the comics, sometimes it jumps around or it doesn't seem like the characters. This does completely. It fits it. And it's interesting how they chose Martha as the storyteller for this. And because, the whole last Martha story, and that when she was a regular companion, she was going around the world telling everybody about the Doctor. So this fit perfectly into that and everything. And it was interesting too, because you had these brand new they're not even really bad guys. They're just aliens who,
they are.
They're bad guys.
They're fanboys. I mean, they're pretty. They are. We're talking spoilers here, but they're obnoxious fanboys, is what they are.
Yeah, that's true, and they're called the Pyromyths.
Yeah,
it's just like
it's a very Doctor Who name.
Oh, very much so. And it was interesting too, because during the tales, we revisit both old series and new series baddies in this, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's why I thought it was done for the 60th anniversary, because it seems to incorporate a lot of things from the whole franchise. I mean, the first 2 pages, I love the first 2 pages. The first 2 pages are this sort of 2-page spread of the Doctor explaining the Pyromyths to his companions over the whole run of the franchise, panel by panel, and really, really well done. Each one of the Doctors is represented with with a companion. I did think it was fun that Colin Baker's companion was Frobisher.
Yeah, that was
it was perfect. Yeah. His best companion. What do you mean? Come on.
Exactly. And I didn't recognize the 8th Doctor's companion.
I didn't either. And they didn't say the name, so I'm not sure which one it was.
Yeah. I mean, I've only listened to a few of the 8th Doctor adventures on Big Finish, so I don't know what they look like.
Yeah, Charlie's the one I know best, but that didn't really seem like Charlie, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He's had several.
Yeah.
This person looks almost like a nun or something.
It was wearing some sort of uniform. So I didn't recognize her, but I must admit, I don't know the 8th. I know there's 8th Doctor comics as well. So I don't know if she's a character that's pulled from a comic or Big Finish or where she came from, but so I'm kind of intrigued. I mean, sure, there's people out there who are listening to us or watching us going, "You dummy.
Dummy, don't you know that's so-and-so?"
So, but I loved it. It just was a fun way to get rid of all this exposition out, just in this 2-page spread, which is great artwork by Christopher Jones, not to be confused with Chris Jones from ESO Network.
Touché.
Well, the 2 artists here, we have a Chris Jones and then we have a Matt Smith, right? So, which is kind of fun in talking about Doctor Who, especially since, and both of them are great artists. Chris Jones has done a number of other Doctor Who's for Titan. He did the 3rd Doctor, which I liked a lot. I'd love to review that at some point. That was a great adventure. That was a great comic story. And he also did the 7th Doctor, and he was just at Gallifrey 1. So he's done other work, mostly on comic versions of cartoon characters like Young Justice and Batman Strikes and all that kind of stuff. And then Matthew Dow Smith has done art for DC and Marvel. He did a crossover called DC Day of Judgment, and then he did a arc on Sandman Mystery Theater, but he also did Doctor Who. He worked for IDW in doing the 10th Doctor. So he did the 10th Doctor for IDW then.
Gotcha.
So Matt Smith, the artist, has not done Matt Smith, the Doctor, in comic form.
Anyway. It's only a matter of time.
Give it time.
Yeah. But it was an interesting mix. So you have Chris Jones doing the art of sort of this main storyline with Martha and the Doctor and everything. But then as she's telling the stories, all of those, the art chores are done by Matthew Dow Smith.
Okay.
So I don't know. I kind of, if they had a bigger budget, I kind of would have liked each one of the stories maybe to be done by a different artist, I think. But I at least like the way that they kind of broke it out so that it had a different style and feel to it. So you know what was happening in the story as opposed to what was happening, with Martha and telling the stories, if that makes sense.
No, totally makes
Yeah,
sense.
that absolutely makes sense. I noticed that too. I really like that, the way the styles changed for the stories, and it is great artwork, really dynamic, lots of fun. I love the way they did the pyromets. They were great.
Yeah.
It's like fiery splotches with teeth.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the one thing I love about the Doctor Who comics, especially when they do creatures and environments and things that or would just be too expensive to do in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And the pyromets would definitely be pretty, like they would be CG and they would be expensive.
Right. And they probably just wouldn't work. They would just look cheesy, but
Probably not.
but they're really fun in comic form. They're very annoying. They're more of an annoying type monster,
Yeah.
very whiny.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, that's why they're obnoxious fanboys, They're like,
Yeah.
that's not how you tell a story, or what are you doing with this? Like they're constantly like critiquing her as she's telling the story. And it's like, I know that Dan Slott knows exactly how this feels.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. I mean, Martha would know how it feels too. I mean, Martha's probably like, "Oh, thank you so much for mansplaining my entire story the entire time."
Oh, the whole way they were like literally, but why would they do that? That's the wrong narrative for the story. And it was like, why are you killing off the main character already? And it's just like, keep reading.
Not the main character. Shut
Yeah.
the f up.
Yeah, I was
Tell
fully
the
expecting
story.
them to do that too.
Yeah, Doctor Who fans know. I mean, we know Doctor Who fans that can be
Yes.
like this. So, and maybe even we are, included in that group.
No, never. We are perfect little angels all the
I do
time.
not know what you're talking about, Mr. Mike.
He puts on his comic guy voice. Worst episode ever.
I perfectly am taking offense to this that you're saying right now. So yeah, I think it would be interesting too, because I liked how much history of Doctor Who went into the story, though. It was awesome. But I would be afraid that some people who only watch like the new series and stuff wouldn't get a lot of the stuff.
I don't know. There's a lot more new series references than classic.
Well, the whole thing with the mummies and the,
I mean,
whole
they
thing.
wouldn't understand the Easter eggs and the references, but I think they would still understand the story.
They would
enough.
still enjoy the story, yeah, and everything. I love how we got a visit back from the werewolf from
Yeah, Tooth and Claw. Yeah.
from Tooth and Claw was awesome, and he turned out to be a good guy and was on the doctor's side and everything, which is pretty awesome. And it was just great. And
we get the Tooth and Claw, we get the sister, the kitten sisters or the cat sisters.
Yes.
And then we also get the Spider Queen.
Yes.
All from David's run.
Yeah.
I had to check myself and I'm like, were all these for Martha? I guess they were, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like I had to remember, I had to see if they, because Martha, yeah, she's the second companion for him, but there was a lot of stuff before that.
No, you got the bad guys from Class Reunion, the bat creatures.
Oh, right.
Yes. You also got, what was it? Was it the Atraxi or what was it? The
Sword.
What was it? Because it wasn't the Atraxi, the ones who was from Tennant's very first story.
Yeah, the
Cyclops or something like that.
Yeah, the captain.
Yeah. Is that what they're called? The Atraxans?
I think so.
I can't remember.
Don't hold me to that, folks. Don't
We're
hold me.
old. I'm sorry, audience. We're old.
Yeah, and there's a lot of references here. Some of them are only passing references. Some of them are only in the Ood are in here.
The Ood, you get also the Slovene. You also get also, of course, you have Santarans, you have Dalek, you have Cybermen. So
they cover a lot of bases.
Yep.
Oh, they totally do. And it's just like, and those are all, basically bad guys the Doctor has offed and everything. And so on the cover, they had Ice Warriors and also Yeti, but I don't remember reading them in the story, but I'm sure they were in there too.
Sure, they're in there.
Maybe they were just in the background somewhere.
They're just off page.
Off page.
They're right there.
They're right there.
Mm-hmm. But I love how they even have like the Stargate from Pyramids of Mars in there and everything. And it was just
the Pyramids of Mars references. I mean, Dan was definitely tapping into some like, oh yeah, those are my favorite stories too.
Mm-hmm.
I was really happy to see the Pyramid of Mars reference. I thought, yes,
mm-hmm.
It was a perfect place to put that.
Oh, and you even got Nazis, which was even better.
You got archaeology in the Nazis. It's like you pull from Raiders of the Lost Ark a little bit, like that's pretty cool too.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't so bad. It was a good story, and I love how it basically the Doctor was feeding all this to Martha through her phone, so she would know the story.
Yeah, that was kind of like that. I was almost disappointed to find out.
Because it kind of took away from her agency a bit.
Exactly.
For that to happen, which was a problem with Martha.
But then I was kind of like, this is an early Martha adventure. She hasn't been with the Doctor long. That we're to guess. I mean, she's still wearing that outfit that she's wearing in the first, early in that first season of hers. Mm-hmm. So I did think when I was watching that, I'm like, man, she's being pretty cool, calm, and collected about being like separated from the Doctor and sort of kidnapped this way. So, so it made sense that she had her phone and that she was, doing this, but it doesn't really take a lot away from her because I was kind of like, how does she know all this stuff about the Doctor?
And she still has to kind of act it out. And I mean, it's not like she doesn't have to put any skill into the telling for them not to guess what's going on.
Right.
I agree with that completely. Yeah. And you know what, folks? It's a fun story and it's an easy read. It's very quick.
It's a good read. It is really nice. I do like maybe one critique that I have is that, if you can find it, I hate to say this, but I'm like, it's like $18 or something like that. I think even, and it's a hardcover and it's a nice edition, but it's kind of like one of those stories that you can read in like one sitting. So it seems like you're paying a lot for not a lot. You know what I mean? But this is the second time I've read it. I read it when it first came out in November. And when I reread it, it didn't seem boring to me at all. It seemed fresh, partly because I think Dan's dialogue with Martha and the Doctor is just so on point. He definitely knows those characters really well, and they sound like those characters. The 10th Doctor reads like the 10th Doctor.
Very much so. They should do an audio version of this.
If they did, that would be awesome. Yes. That would be awesome. There was some things that I noticed too that were sort of coincidental, but Dan pointed these out in a post that he did on Instagram. He said, some of the unintentional wibbly wobbly moments of my first ever Doctor Who comic. Number one, this is right before it came out, right before the 60th anniversary specials. So he said some weird moments. The 14th Doctor mentions the name of the comic at the top of the special number one. Special number one starts with David Tennant going, "Once upon a time, Lord," and he's like, "Whoa, that's weird." Special number two and the comic share a common line of dialogue at which when somebody says, "I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation." And that's a big thing in the second one. And then also when the
at
comic
least
was
they
being
didn't use Mavity. At least then it would
yes,
be really weird.
right.
Yes.
When the when Dan was creating and writing this, and they submitted it to the BBC, the archaeologist that the Doctor teams up with in that little adventure that he has against the Nazis was originally named Ruby.
Wow.
So
wow.
the BBC was like, "You have to change that." So she became Rana in the comics. So they had to change that. So just one of those things where it's like they seemed to be on the same wavelength. He was on the same, Dan Slott's on the same wavelength with Russell T Davies. That's not a bad thing.
No.
No, exactly. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That, we got that. And it's interesting because it felt like the whole time, like you said, I heard the voices of the characters in my head while I was reading. And that's what you want. And a lot of times, like I've said in the past, when I've read, because I used to collect all the different Titan comics that they did when they were doing the 10th Doctor, the 11th Doctor, and the 12th Doctor, and later the 13th Doctor comics. And that was a lot of comics to get.
Yeah, they really were putting a bunch out at once.
Yeah, and some of the stories hit really, really well, but then there were others that didn't hit as well. And so it was interesting with it that this hit right off the bat, right from the very first page, and seeing all the different doctors right from the bar, warning the different companions about, if you ever run into these aliens, this is what you do. And then when they get to the 10th Doctor, he's so aged and jaded by that point.
He's like, I'll tell you later.
I'll tell you later about it.
I feel like I've been telling this to people forever.
Right. Which is pretty awesome and everything. The only thing I didn't enjoy about this, in all truth, I didn't care for the 9th Doctor and Rose story in this.
What? You didn't care for a Rose story?
I know. Isn't that shocking?
I can hardly believe it.
I know. Isn't it shocking?
I mean, to me, that was just kind of a minor little fun filler story. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was just like, by the time, because I love the first story, but
one joke stories.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of like, it was Dan playing around with the whole TARDIS translation thing, and really, I think the thing I like about that kind of connects both of these in a way, these stories together in this collection, is that the first story is all about stories and storytelling and the power of stories. And the second one is about the power of words. And I just think that's just really cool in a comic to have both those sort of things that are sort of related, and yet, connected in that way. I just, I like that the way that was portrayed here.
No, totally agree with that. I don't disagree. And I liked both stories were entertaining. I will say that, but it was just like the whole thing with the whole the TARDIS translator circuit going and them not being able to understand each other and everything. It was just like, okay, yeah, I'm over it.
Well,
it's one joke, and it wears even in the short little story. It starts to wear on you.
Sure.
And it also is another thing that kind of wears on us too. Is it's the Doctor and Rose. I don't want to say flirting, but they're bantering. They're bantering back and forth, cutesy, like little he's like.
It's almost more like the 10th Doctor than the 9th Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure he got the right personality for the 9th Doctor.
That could be right. You could be right about that.
And actually, because the interaction between Rose and the 9th Doctor was not like that at all.
No, I recently joined the Watchathon or Epsilon podcast, and we talked about we reviewed New Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first, David and Rose story proper. And it struck me as odd and just amazing, like how weird it is, because they are so flirty right from the get-go in that episode, and they're so cutesy together, and it is kind of off-putting, to be honest with you. It's just kind of like, whoa, I don't remember this, before. They're just giggling at each other all the time and snickering at each other when there's massive threats or whatever, who's around. And it is really off-putting. And that, you're right, that is carried over, I think, into the story that Dan wrote, that second one.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, overall, I do recommend that people read this.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just went into a second printing. I'll be curious to see. I think you said that, Mike, but I'd be curious to see whether that's paperback. It might be paperback as opposed to the hardcover that was originally issued in November. Right. So it'll be a little cheaper and more affordable, I think, for people if it is in paperback.
Right.
But I don't know what cover it's going to have. I don't, I'm not sure about that, but yeah, if this is one of the better, as Mike pointed out, there's a lot of Doctor Who comics out there. Even, Titan, just in the last few years that they've had the license, has just been throwing everything out there with Doctor and Doctor Who related comics. So some of them are much better than others, just sort of like Big Finish, But I think Dan Slott did a really great job. You could tell that he'd been waiting a while to do this, and I hope he didn't throw everything into this one, because I hope there's some more left from him.
Right. I hope so, and everything.
Yeah. I would love to read more from him.
We will have a link up to this in our show notes, so that way you guys can pick it up also if you want, or from Amazon, or go to your local comic shop. They have it. Or
they can order it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's available through Titan. Through Diamond and Titan, Diamond, but yeah, it's available through Diamond Comics. So your most comic shops can definitely order it for you and everything. Definitely worth checking out. So I think this is going to be a short one for us tonight, we all give it thumbs up, so it's not even worth giving it 1 out of whatever TARDIS is. So thumbs up for me.
There's just 2 thumbs.
Everybody has thumbs up, so it's cool. All right, I did a little research, and I did get us. We are going to be doing our Earth Station Who panel at Pensacon. For those who want to come to Pensacon, we will be doing Saturday at 6 p.m. We will be doing Earth Station Who. So it is definitely worth for you guys checking out. It is Time and Space Unveiled, the current landscape of Doctor Who in 2024. And it is going to be on the second floor, room 4, and of the, I think it's the chapel, the church where we were last year.
Yeah,
so.
I think is it the Wright Building, I think it's called?
Yeah, it's called the Wright Building.
Wright is in Wright Brothers.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think we'll be mostly throughout the weekend. We'll be in that. We'll be in room 4 or room 2, I think. And then we'll be down in the basement for the final one on Sunday. We'll be throwing us in the dungeon. So it should be a ton of fun. So definitely, folks, thank you for listening, as always. We definitely hope to see you guys at Pensacon. And, this is coming out on Friday. So if you're listening, you're already at Pensacon. So thank you, everybody. And you know what? It's always great to be chatting with my 2 friends here. And Mr. Mike, we're going to miss you this weekend, but thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. As always, it's my pleasure.
Anything coming up with the Dragon Con report?
We are recording the Dragon Con report next week, our second episode of the year. So look for that. We should be recording it live on Tuesday. And then it'll be available, to watch and to listen to shortly thereafter that.
That's going to be the 27th, I think.
27th, correct. Yes.
Of February. So, some people don't listen in order. So, it's better.
I get it. I don't blame them.
So yeah, so definitely check out the Dragon Con report, folks, and they will be streaming up on YouTube. They'll be streaming up on Facebook. So definitely check it out. If Dragon Con's a great con.
Yep. We still don't have any Doctor Who guests announced for Dragon Con yet, though.
They haven't made any announcements. They've started doing some of the Artist Alley guests, but I think that is it so far,
including me.
Exactly. So there you go. And Mary,
I'll definitely be there.
Anything you want to promote?
No, you can find my artwork at mariogo.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent, folks. Well, we'll be back again in 2 weeks, and actually, we're going to be recording our panel from Pensacon. So in 2 weeks, you'll be able to hear it, and there'll be our next episode. So sadly enough, folks, those who watch on YouTube, there will not be a video portion of that because we're not doing a video camera at Pensacon. So I don't.
We'll be lucky if we can record it.
Exactly. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. It should be a ton of fun. If you've made it this far into the video or the audio, please like and subscribe. We would really appreciate it. It's always a lot of fun talking Doctor Who, and we've got a lot of stuff planned. And if you like us talking about the comics and such, we're going to be doing more. So definitely check that out. We'll also be doing more Big Finish, but we'll also be doing some new and classic series Doctor Who. So coming up before May, we haven't gotten an exact date in May yet, have we?
No.
For the first episode?
No, they've just said May.
So May. So maybe we will get some, we will get some stuff to you. All right, folks, we're out of here. My name is Mike Faber. On behalf of myself, Mr. Mike Gordon, and Ms. Mary Ogle, thank you for listening to Earth Station Who. We can be found wherever fine podcasts are found. If you get a chance, please subscribe to us, and also check out our Patreon, check out our YouTube channel, check out our Facebook group, and we also have Instagram now. So we are everywhere. So, I think we're getting out there, folks. And as always, thank you for everything you guys do for us. We do appreciate you. Until next time, ciao. And as the 10th Doctor likes to go, L-O-N-Z, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao. Later.
I don't want to go.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
The Epsilon 3 is a dream given form. It's a home away from home for 3 guys to watch a 90s sci-fi classic TV show. 3 guys with microphones over 3,249 miles apart, all alone in the night.
The year is 2262. The place, Babylon 5. The podcast, the Epsilon 3.
On the ESO Network.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.